what's the thing in place? Sheltering in place way
Yes.
before it was important or mandatory. So we're all good. You're good. Now, the thing about the baseball negotiations, which are fun, is every move has to be broadcast and put out there. And this is what you do for a living. This is obviously your job. At what point does having to go point counterpoint every day and having every person in America know who made the last move and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable? You've been around this a long time. We've been through the strikes and stuff. Have you ever seen anything this crazy when it comes to two sides trying to get together to figure out how to restart their sport?
No, Tony, I haven't. And this is the Twitter age, the internet age in which we live, in which everything is the story. It's 24/7, 24 hours a day. I covered the 81 strike, and we didn't have movement every, stories every 20 minutes seemingly, but that's what we have here, and this is why it's so much more difficult to make a deal, because everything that comes out becomes a gigantic thing. Just a small note becomes a big story, and that's just the nature of our business today. But you don't have to go that far back. When Michael Weiner ran the Players Association, he was so good at this that a CBA was negotiated, and no one really knew that they were really, really underway, and suddenly it was over. That's what the way it should be, but it certainly doesn't work that way today.
Now, the interesting thing is the latest, because we knew we had the owners say 50 games, and everybody said no. No, the players said 50 games, right? No, the owners
said 48. I think
the owners said,
I
think it was 48 50 games.
Yeah.
And then the players came back and said, no, let's do 114 games, and then we'll prorate it. And then the owners said no. And then they came back 76 games. Remember that? And now today the players come back 89. So it appears, Tim, that the 89 now with the full prorated share, they're trying to get it closer and closer together. And so 89, will the owners accept that latest proposal from the players?
My guess is they're not going to accept 89 games at 100% prorated salary. And that's what the union wants. And it doesn't appear that the union is willing to budge at this moment off of 100% prorated, no matter how many games they agree to. So it could end up that baseball just imposes a 48-game schedule, pays 100% of the prorated salaries, and we play it out from there, a mad dash to the finish. But that will not be a good situation, because when you just impose something like that, implement something like that, and the players aren't happy about it, it's going to lead to bad things, certainly down the road. So that's why it's so important to find some middle ground, somewhere, around 75 games. I think it's going to end up being 60 games, mad dash to the finish. And at this point, I will take that just to get the game back on the field.
Yeah, I got to be honest, 48 games, I don't know if that's enough to get the fans really invested in them. What is that, like 16 three-game series?
Yeah, and that's the really tricky. We know the beauty of baseball is they play 162 games, so at the end of the year whether you're any good or not. Sparky Anderson used to always say, that's the reason you play that many, so there are no excuses at the end. But when you play 48 games, all sorts of teams could get hot in 48 games and make it to the playoffs, and good teams might not get hot for 48 games.
Like last year.
Look, right.
Yeah.
But this is the point. If everyone's playing the same amount of games in this extraordinary set of circumstances, I'm going to have a hard time being sympathetic to a team that just couldn't get it done in 48 games when that's it. Figure it out.
Tim Kurkjian from ESPN joining us, Tony and Harry, the whole gang here on Sirius XM 211. Now, Tim, the latest proposal by the players, the 89 with the expanded playoffs, 16 teams, how could they possibly start on July 10th? It is June 10th. How would they be able to actually start playing games unless they went and started spring training and the pitchers
tomorrow.
And the pitchers need 3 or 4 weeks? July 10th to October 11th in this latest proposal. That may be the dumbest one yet as far as that part of putting that together. How is that going to happen?
Well, that's not going to happen, Tony. You're right. They're not going to be able to start that early unless they reach an agreement today and start spring training tomorrow. Plus, Major League Baseball is adamant about finishing everything by October 31st, just in case there's a second COVID spike here, and that wipes out part of the postseason, because we all understand the postseason is where the owners make a lot of their money, so they need to make sure baseball is done before anything else comes along. So ending a regular season on October 11th is going to be unsatisfactory for Major League Baseball. So they're going to say, whatever we do, we're done September 30th, and then we're done October 31st, and we're not going any further.
Okay, let's take those two dates for the end of the regular season and the end of the playoffs and work backwards. When is the last, couple of days where they'd have to get something finalized in order for it to happen that way? Because I think they're running out of time, obviously.
Well, they're running out of time, that's for sure. But 3 weeks ago, fellas, this good source of mine who knows a lot of stuff said, look, we're going to play 60 games. This was 3 weeks ago. He said this is perfect for the owners. They'll only have to pay roughly one-third of the salaries. As we said, they'll make a lot of money in the postseason. And he says we start August the 1st, we end at the end of September, and we play all of October. But even to play at the end of July, early August, you're going to have to start getting players headed for spring training by the end of June at the latest, and it's going to take a long time to rally everything. So we're not at any sort of drop-dead date yet. But baseball is going to tell the players, look, I don't care how much spring training you've had, we're starting a season on August the 1st. We're going to play 48 games, so make sure you're ready for that.
Tim, the thing, and I'm looking ahead, obviously, and I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not even talking about the COVID-19 virus. I'm talking about the fact that if they do get this done, and there's still carve-outs for players to opt out because they're afraid of getting it, or a star player says, you know what, this is ridiculous, play a couple of games, I've had it. How can you have that in any way, shape, or form, be a legitimate season with a legitimate postseason and championship if a couple of star players either get the virus or just say, I'm not doing this, I'm getting out of here?
Well, if they get the virus, I certainly understand it.
Yes.
And again, this is going to be the strangest season in Major League history. If there's not an asterisk over it, there will be an imaginary asterisk for the rest of the time. There's no way, by the way, that I am going to say somebody hit 400 this year, so he's the first since Ed Williams hit 400. We're not doing that in a 48-game season. But in the end, your point is well made. What happens if star players decide they don't want to play, or after 10 games they just go home? Now, I just don't see that happening. I think what you get on your team, the team element, and everyone gets together and says, all right, this stinks, but we're all in it together, and we're going to go out and win this thing anyway. I just can't see a star player, unless he got sick, saying, I'm leaving my team, I'm leaving my teammates behind because this isn't worth it. I'm sorry, I just can't see that happen.
You know, at some point, Tim, fans are getting disgusted with both sides. You know, obviously the players play the game, and that's what we want to see. But the other problem is fans are getting upset because every day that goes by, we keep hearing this side wants this side wants that, and then 48 games. If they do 48 games, I feel, based on what I think, I'll watch them because it's my job and I like baseball. I love baseball. But are the fans going to say, I'm not watching any of this stuff. This is just, I've had it. They said it in 94, but they come back. Would they come back if they do a 48-game season and nobody gets the virus and they play it out? Would that be acceptable for people to say, yeah, let me go sign up for season tickets next year because I think we'll be back to normal?
All right, well, first off, it would be better than nothing. And that's unfortunately the way that I think we all have to look at this. 48 is not a very good number, but it's better than 0. I think a lot of fans would look at it that way, and it's possible that if those 48 games where every game matters and every team has a chance, it might actually be a March Madness kind of thing and really exciting, and then a tremendous October potentially could get people excited about going into next season. I think it's unlikely, but it is certainly possible. The problem's going to be if you only play 48 games, then you're going up against potentially the return of the NBA, the return of the NHL, and the start of football training camps, and baseball with a 48-game season is not going to match up very well with the return of those other sports. That's why it was so important to be ready as quickly as possible to grab the sporting landscape for maybe an entire month by yourself. And baseball hasn't been able to do that.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, fan investment. If it's 48 games and you got football and all this other stuff going on in playoffs, I'm like, baseball would be maybe way down on my list as far as things I'm going to be, turning the channel to.
Yeah, there's two ways to look at it. You could say we're going to have so much sports, it's going to be great again to have choices.
Right.
Then we're going to say, wait a minute, baseball? We got NFL Sunday coming up. We got college football. And so the landscape will be flooded with sports all at the same time, and people will choose. But, they're diehard baseball fans, so we'll watch. I'll watch it. I love when there's a lot of sports on, as opposed to now. But the bottom line, Tim, is, how are they going to do this? How are they going to they're going to play in their own ballpark. So it's not like the NBA and hockey where they're picking a hub. Baseball's going to allow players to play in their home stadiums with no fans and get this all done within a little over a month. How is that going to be even possible?
Well, I'm not even positive that all teams are going to be able to play in their home ballpark, and I think that causes an issue. But even if that's the plan, there's so many unanswered questions with scheduling and testing and everything that goes along with that. Taxi squads, where are they going to work out? How is this going to work? These are all questions that, again, don't have legitimate answers at this point, and we're at June the 10th.
Last thing, and that is Rob Manfred. I know a lot of people are picking on. We used to pick on Gary Bettman because of the four major sports. He was the guy that, it seemed to have. He's the first guy this year who actually got his league back together and figured out a plan. Rob Manfred, is he on the so-called hot seat after this whole thing this year? Because there's a lot of blame to go around, but he's the commissioner, and he's said a lot of things that a lot of people like it's just a piece of metal,
the
which
trophy,
didn't help him from Jump Street early this year.
Right. He's made some unfortunate mistakes this year, and he has acknowledged some of them. And I don't think he's on the hot seat. He's hired by the owners. He's working with them at this point, and I don't see him going anywhere. And look, I'm not making any excuses for anyone involved in this, but these are extraordinary times. This is unprecedented. This is not easy stuff to do. But at some point, Rob Manfred is going to have to get these two sides together, get them in a room and said, look, we are not leaving this room until we work out a financial agreement, and we're going to do it, and we're not leaving until we get it. That's what I think he has to do, and I think that's his job as the commissioner to make sure that happens.
What is the big thing we should be looking for in this draft tonight, Tim?
Well, it's a big college draft, and the first kid that's going to go is
Torkelson, right?
Spencer Torkelson's a first baseman from Arizona State. He's got great power. He's got a chance to be a terrific offensive player. That second kid, Austin Martin, who's from Vanderbilt, which is such a great program. He can play the outfield. He can play the infield. He's going to really help the Orioles. He might start right away. That's an exaggeration. But, yes, so this could be a really good night for baseball, that we're celebrating something good for once. And wouldn't it be great if during these 2 days of the draft, baseball came out and said, all right, we've reached an agreement. Now we can start to move forward. Maybe the draft will push it forward. I certainly hope so.
No, I agree with you. And the other big question is, because, the guys at the top are not going to be spending a lot of time in the minor leagues because there are no minor leagues. Right. What about these players who are drafted tonight and then another 3 rounds on tomorrow? Where are these kids going to go, the ones who are not automatically going to the big club?
Well, that's a great question. Where are they going? Where are they going to work out? And these, these taxi squads, where are they going to play? How many guys are going to be on it? You have to protect the major leaguers once we get going. You can't overwork them, that type of thing. Again, there are so many logistical issues that we need to figure out, and we're still talking about money. And, again, that's not a very good look for baseball.
How about the KBO? Can they immediately go to the KBO and then check out all the mannequins in the stands and the blow-up dolls and stuff and get a couple of swings in there? I mean, there's a bunch of major league players and guys who really didn't make it in the major leagues over there. Why not just send them right over to Korea to get some action?
Well, just to show you all the things we've heard over the years, I never reported this because I refused to, but I was told, yes, Major League Baseball is going to play in Japan. They're going to play day games in Japan, and the Japanese players will play night games in Japan. That's how we'll start the Major League season because the virus will be gone earlier from Japan than in the United States. Now, again, it's ridiculous, but it just shows you the stuff you hear, all these possibilities that have come up for the last 3 months.
I like the day-night doubleheaders. I like to just play them back-to-back. And they're going to have to do that, right, Tim? Aren't they going to have to do not the day-night doubleheaders, 2 separate admissions, because there's no fans, so they don't have to worry about 2 separate admissions, play a game earlier in the afternoon, and then come back at night with a new crowd. Well, if they play doubleheaders, won't they just have to break for an hour and then come right back?
Right. They might have to do that. Again, this is the scheduling issue. And don't forget the union has been so concerned about their safety. So they don't want these guys coming back and slamming 75 games into, 2.5 months and saying, all right, stay healthy, whatever you could do. It's not going to work that way. They don't want 3 doubleheaders a week. The union's not going to allow that. This is all part of the negotiation to try to get this going. And to say for the third time, it's getting late.
Now, last thing. Who will win the Cy Young, and how many wins will he need to get a 7-game winner wins the Cy Young Award this year? I'm telling you, that was the best 7-game season I've ever seen. That guy was nailing it every single day.
He didn't lose a game.
Didn't know he went undefeated 7-0.
Yeah, look, this is the least of our worries, but I am not looking forward to writing. This is the fewest wins by a Cy Young winner, except of course for the 2020 season. And we're going to have to write that for the next 50 years because these numbers are just going to be so stilted by the situation.
Wow. Yeah, I really think the batting champion, the Grand Slam, will be 12 home runs, batting .325, and then 50 RBIs. Does that sound like a reasonable amount for a 50-game season, Tim?
It does. Just imagine if someone wins the Triple Crown this year. First guy in the National League to win it. Oh, my God, it would be...
might work.
I'm sorry. We can't go there. It's just let's just play the season, announce a winner, and move on from there.
It might work out for the Phillies, though, Tony, because they usually go out to a good start.
Exactly,
and starting in June, they hit the wall. So.
And they got a new manager, and they don't even get a chance to work with the guy yet, except a couple of weeks in spring training. So everything's going to have to hit the reset button. Tim, always great to talk to you, sir. Thank you so much. Had some fun. Because there's a lot of unanswered questions, and there will be unanswered questions, even if they finally get a deal, which hopefully, as you said, I think that would be the perfect scenario.
The draft?
Either tonight or tomorrow would be perfect to get this thing finally going.
Yes, let's hope so.
Thanks,
Stay safe, fellas.
Thank you very much. There he is, Tim Kurkjian of ESPN. You talk about great baseball guy.
He's awesome. At Kurkjian_ESPN on Twitter.
Exactly right.
He does these great videos called the Baseball Fix.
I know, I love Tim.
It's pretty good stuff.
Another old school ESPN guy. We go way, way back in the day. And this